Good morning. It's Wednesday, July the 1st. Welcome to Wise Words from Waldo. When I was a boy, we would travel from Michigan to Miami to stay at grandmother's house. Florida sure was nice in the winter. On a few occasions, my dad would take me down to the marina at Miami Beach, when all the charter boats would come in with their fish. We were too poor to go on one of those nice charter boats, but I loved to fish. Once, we went out on a causeway bridge and got to do some fishing. I didn't know that causeway had significance, not because I fished there, but because of its namesake. Paul Harvey was made famous when he wrote many of his The Rest of the Story, and they were broadcast on the radio. This was the first one I ever heard. Every Friday in Miami, as the sun was about to set, Old Ed would come strolling along the beach to his favorite pier. He always brought a bucket of shrimp. Not for the fish, not for him, but they were for the seagulls. He'd walk out to the end of the pier. The seagulls would begin to gather. He'd reach in his bucket and toss out a handful of shrimp. Soon, the bucket was empty, and he'd walk back home. Every Friday. Who is this Old Ed? Well, his full name was Eddie Rickenbacker. He was a captain in World War II. He flew a B-17 Flying Fortress. He and the 7 men on the crew were on a mission going across the Pacific Ocean, and they crashed in the ocean. Miraculously, all 7 besides Eddie made it out of the plane and into a life raft. They fought the sun and sharks. On the 8th day, their rations ran out. No food, no water. They needed a miracle to survive. One afternoon, after their afternoon devotion and prayer time, they tried to rest. Eddie was resting with his hat over his eyes when something landed on his head. A seagull. It meant food if he could catch it. And he did. They plucked it, shared a few morsels each. They used the intestines for bait, and they caught fish. They were able to survive until they were rescued. Later in his life, Billy Graham would ask Eddie Rickenbacker about the experience. And Eddie told Billy Graham, "I have no explanation except that God sent it to rescue us." And he never forgot. He never stopped saying, "Thank you." He fed the seagulls every Friday for years, until he died. Sounds kind of trivial. But it all depends on just how grateful you are. If you're only grateful for the big things in life, you're really not very grateful. Now stop and think about that.